Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Look, listen.
We made it, folks. It is Friday, and it is a Friday edition, a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studio. Family owned and operated with the largest selection of natural diamond jewelry, the only diamond and jewelry partner of the Florida Gators. We'll have JC today. We'll have Rob Browne from SEC Sideline Sports. He's an Auburn graduate, so maybe we should get him and JC and let them duke it out on air. You missed it last night. I went to bed. Buzzer beater. Tyrese Halliburton knocks one down at the buzzer. Pacers win game one. College World Series, or Women's College World Series. We go to a national title game tonight, winner take all. JC, you're on the Titan and More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend who was about to hit a four-leg same-game parlay last night because he had Oklahoma City on the money line and he had Indiana plus 9.5, and Tyrese Halliburton promptly flushed that down the toilet. It's too bad because he hit the other two props that were part of that four-legger. A 35-25 fourth quarter. A 35-25 Indiana outscoring Oklahoma City is the difference. And this team just constantly refuses to say die. They do not die. They come back. They have had some incredible comebacks in this playoff season. Just unbelievable. Ask the Knicks. Ask the Milwaukee Bucks. And so it's really just the script continues. And I'm really loving my over 5.5 games in the series prop bet for this series because I need both teams to win twice, and I wanted Oklahoma City, or rather Indiana, to win at least one of those two games in Oklahoma. I fully expect the Thunder to win game 2, and then hopefully they'll split games 3 and 4, and I'm cashing. So that's the way I approached this playoff, and I think it looks pretty good at plus 110. Plus odds are great. Tonight we've also got the Edmonton Oilers in game 2 with the Florida Panthers. I'm sitting on an Edmonton plus 400 ticket in pocket and a Florida plus 700 ticket for the Cup in pocket. So I'm just going to watch that and wait to cash that. So it's looking pretty good over here in JC World. Today also we have the College Baseball World Series beginning at 12 o'clock with the team I believe who will win. First, we got to get to the super regionals, but I have 3 tickets on winning cards to win the College World Series with North Carolina. And then I took North Carolina plus 650, UCLA plus 20-1, and Louisville at 25-1. Currently, I'll get an SEC team on that sheet as well after these super regionals, and that will be my 4 teams out of the 8. Hopefully, all plus odds to win the College World Series. But good games today, QB. UNC and Arizona at Chapel Hill at 12 o'clock, followed by Miami and Louisville. 2 ACC teams playing at 3 o'clock.
I like the Cardinals in that.
I love Louisville in that one. And then at 6 p.m., you've got Florida State and Oregon State playing as an 8 and 9 team seeded, playing out in Corvallis. Oregon State's a minus 125 favorite, but you can get Florida State laying a run and a half if you like them at plus 130. And then at 9 o'clock tonight, we wrap it up with those Auburn Tigers and Coastal Carolina. Auburn is a minus 155 favorite. Coastal Carolina goes in as a plus 110 underdog. You can get a run and a half, but you have to lay 160 if you take Coastal Carolina. Totals 10.5. So lots of good baseball today. The other 4 games are tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 7 o'clock. That includes Tennessee and Arkansas at 5 o'clock and LSU playing West Virginia at 2 o'clock. Those are the 3 SEC teams that are still alive on Saturday. Along with the Auburn Tigers today. The 4 SEC teams still playing.
Ryan in Lake City on the Titan and More text line says, happy Friday. Tuned in for the last 2 innings of softball and last 2 minutes of basketball. That's all you needed. Speaking of tuning in, I haven't watched the ESPN program in years since they went so woke, but I heard Around the Horn is done. So since JC comes to us most mornings from his back deck in the former Hale Plantation, I think it's time for JC to take over the dinging for good takes. Platform it and name it Hales Bales.
Hails
Ringing the
bells.
bell.
Outstanding creativity from one of our viewers today. Who was this? Who said this?
That was Ryan from Lake City.
Ryan. Outstanding, Ryan. Good job. Yeah, the bell was, I think they took it from us when we were on 105 The Game in the morning, radio drive. The only sports radio talk show on the morning drive in history in Gainesville. And the idiots who bought the station, and I do mean idiots, took it off and put the fifth country music station on in this market. So, I don't know how they're doing. I'm almost thinking they probably sold it because that was a colossal mistake. But at any rate, here we are podcasting in the morning. And
around the world,
everybody's watching. And if they're not watching in the morning, like we had Rob and some of our viewers that I mentioned the other day, they get to
send you gifts. You like to mention the people that send you gifts.
Why not? And then they watch us later in the day on as the show's being, of course, archived on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. So that's us, and we like to promote hard rock, and we like to promote sports. So the Gators really have nothing going on right now, so we just kind of have to go with the flow and try to make a little money watching this stuff. It's always more fun for me to have skin in it and listen to somebody who has skin in the game than somebody who's just going to sit there and tell you what he thinks is going to happen, and then there's no accountability when it's over. It's kind of like the pro golfers, right? You can't tell me that it wouldn't be more interesting if we watched these pro golfers like Rory McIlroy and Sepp Straka playing for $1 million of their own money just once. Give me that one time. And I mean, they'll get the money back, obviously. But if they had to put up their own cash and play against each other in some sort of match play format, I would be all watching that. That would be so much more interesting to me than watching Scotty Scheffler shoot 31 under at Craig's Ranch. That is not interesting. So if somebody wants to come up with that idea, hey guys, let's put up our own money. Let's put 16 guys out there to face each other, and let's see who goes home with all the money. Winner take all, or maybe top three, something like that.
I think you should call TNT and set that up. 16 pro golfers put in $1 million each, so it's 16 million in the purse, winner take all.
Let's go, man. You don't think that right. Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth wouldn't like to do that? I mean, they play for their own money, but we're not talking about $1 million. So that would be so much more fun and interesting. I don't know how we can start that up, but getting these guys to come off the wall, it might be hard because they're.
John wants to know who the special guest that I tried to get today. I can't tell you because we're going to get him eventually, but I'm telling what people don't realize when you go into programming like this, especially a lot of athletes are really bad at following through. Okay. I try personally. I've screwed people over not on purpose. Sometimes I just totally forgot. It happens. But if people ask me to come on their show, I try to show up. So I am going to make sure this is confirmed before I do it. All right, on the Titan Mar text line, hearing that Mia Williams and Coach Walton had a falling out. Hope that wasn't the reason behind her transfer. Don't need any more problems with Gator ball teams. I know her mom had a problem with. She was blasting Keegan Rothrock pitching on one of the websites. Somebody sent me some of the text or the messages. Look, because somebody here on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing just said, got to talk about Mia and all that are leaving the softball. Okay. She's the only starter leaving. Okay. Again, I think fan bases, when players leave your program, all hell's breaking loose. But you have zero problem when those players come in, right? So I have zero concern about Gator softball. I have zero concern about who's going to be playing for us. We are one of the premier programs in America. As I mentioned yesterday on the program, as soon as the Tennessee Vols lost the other day to, was it Texas they lost and got eliminated, JC?
Yeah.
There were 3 of their starters posting that they were in the portal from Oklahoma City.
That's
okay.
Awful.
So people, do not worry about it.
That's why Nick Saban said enough. I'm out.
Yeah.
By the way, QB, they have these things, these iPhones, and in these iPhones you can pull up a date. And then
I understand that, JC,
you
but
can
still,
put an alarm on it.
You got to remember, you
up.
have like nothing in your life to worry about, but maybe a meeting once a week with a client and to play golf. A lot of
Oh
athletes
my
have
God.
a lot of stuff. They're being pulled
Oh,
in
their
many
lives are
directions,
so hard.
JC. Many
It's so hard.
directions.
Oh, just it's awful. God. I
Many,
mean,
many
poor guys.
directions.
Oh, jeez. I know. It's just awful. First world problem.
Speaking of athletes, I got a text on the Titan Mar text line from William. He says, "How about AR injured again, out of mini camps? They don't know what's going on with his shoulder."
Think there's some buyer's remorse in Indianapolis? Yeah, I mean, just a
I
little,
just
maybe.
I know his shoulder. I think that's the shoulder he had surgery on last year.
Whatever.
Look, nobody will convince me otherwise.
When was the
And
last
I know
time you played?
today's world is different, but these guys, pro
He's
athletes,
got his money.
a majority of the college athletes and high school athletes are training too much year round. I was at a school yesterday, JC. We had this great conversation
Probably.
with one of the football coaches.
Yeah.
And of course, the wrestling coach is wanting one of his linemen to come wrestle. But the wrestling coach says, if you come wrestle, you can't play football. And then there's a couple of
Oh.
receivers that play basketball. And I almost said, you know what? Can I speak to y'all's
Athletic director.
administration, athletic directors? Because if any high school coaches or athletic directors are listening to this program, you are doing a disservice to your athletic program and to each individual kid that plays sports at your school if your coaches don't allow the athletes to play multiple sports. Because I can't tell you how many times, even when I was helping coach, I went and convinced a basketball kid to come play football who he never played because the basketball coach wouldn't let him. But he said, you know what? Three of us are going to go play. We're three starters on the basketball team. What's he going to do to us? All three of them got scholarships in football, didn't get a sniff in basketball.
There you go. Yeah.
But there's so many stories like that, and it just pisses me off every time I hear about this.
Well, and it's also just good for the development of the
Because
kids.
honestly, JC,
Yeah.
my two favorite sports and probably better sports was baseball and basketball.
And basketball, yeah.
But football gave me a full ride.
Correct. And you had to earn that full ride, but you wouldn't have earned it if you didn't have the experience as a football player. And the thing is that it just development wise, mentally, physically, and every other way, it is so much better for these kids to try a couple of different things and do two sports. I played baseball and soccer. I wasn't big enough to play basketball or football, but I did do soccer and baseball. And all I did was run. And, baseball gave me hand-eye skills and coordination practice, and soccer gave me that ability to stay in shape and so forth. So I completely agree with that. And I can't imagine why today a coach would say something like that, thinking that he probably did just the opposite when he was younger. He probably played in all likelihood two sports when he was in his earlier formative years. And now he's telling somebody not to do that. I would bet that's the case.
Yeah, I'll never forget too when I was in college, and we're kind of off on all kinds of tangents today, but it's Friday.
We're talking.
One of the walk-on punters at Florida that was a good friend of mine. He was from Tampa. His dad went to college with Lou Piniella, I think at University of Tampa. They both played like football and baseball there. But I remember I went home with him, played golf, spent the weekend, and Lou Piniella came over for the cookout, and we just started talking. And he knew that I was a three-sport guy. He goes, when I'm looking at these high school kids coming out, and this is freaking 35, 40 years ago, about 35 years ago, he's like, I prefer the kid that is playing multiple sports over the one kid that's just playing baseball.
100%.
So
100%. And listen, why would that be any different today? Kids are kids. And it's really up to the grown-ups what they learn, right? So the grown-ups just got to quit screwing over these kids. And I agree with you and Lou. Of course, I agree with Sweet Lou. He was one of my great Yankees. I loved him, number 14. So, it's absolutely important for them to do that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling me that Tyrese Halliburton never played more than one sport when he was growing up? You don't think he did? I bet you he did.
I guarantee he did.
I guarantee you he did.
I mean, think about Allen Iverson used to be a football. I mean, there's many of those.
Yeah.
LeBron played football, right? Andy says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon, Gators lost their best swimmer, Bella Sims, to Michigan. It happens. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not the coach's fault. It's money talks, people.
Well, I mean, look at Texas Tech's pitcher. Who would have thought a young pitcher out of Stanford who was raised in Kansas, would be pitching in Texas and being paid $1 million. Who would have thought that?
All right. John says on Facebook Live,
$1 million.
we should learn from last weekend, and whatever team JC picks in the Super Regionals, then we should probably pick the opposite team.
Go for it. I'll tell you right now, that's going to cost you money, but do it because I correctly said in the NCAA basketball tournament, it would be all chalk. I think now that we've gotten to the Super Regionals, we're looking at chalk. I really think so. I think North Carolina wins, Louisville wins. I don't know about Oregon State, FSU. Flip a coin there, but I like Oregon State up there, way up there in the Pacific Northwest. And I think Auburn beats Coastal Carolina. That's not going out on a limb, but you got to lay a lot of juice for that. But it's different now, I think, in the Super Regionals because your pitching staffs are not going to get stretched as hard in a 2 out of 3 scenario, in my opinion. If you got a guy who's hot in game 1, let's say at Auburn, or even for Coastal Carolina, guys really mowing them down. You're not going to be worried about pitch counts. You're going to let them finish the game probably. So, Sully did that with Aiden King, I think in the second game when they beat whoever it was that he beat up on. And then we never saw him in the series. But they probably could have used him. Right. But they could have used him probably in the rest of the series. But he just wanted to rest the bullpen. So he's thinking that way. In the 2 out of 3 games, man, you go with the guy who's mowing them down and you stick with that. So I think we'll see more of that. I think the pitching will win out. And I think North Carolina's pitching. I think Louisville's pitching. And I think Auburn's pitching is going to be the difference today and tomorrow. I think UCLA's got great pitching. LSU's got great pitching. And I believe that Arkansas, Tennessee is a coin flip with Duke probably having the advantage over Murray State. But Murray State can hit the ball. So it's going to be a good contrast between a team that's very offensive and a Duke Blue Devils team whose pitching has really come alive. As they swept through their regional. And so I'm excited about this next 2 days. And then we get to the College World Series in Omaha. Rocco's, the Jello shots will be flowing. It'll be fantastic action in Omaha. I can't wait to watch that. I love that event. It's probably one of my favorite sport events. And it signifies the end of the sports year for me. And then we go.
QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief, no surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. We got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It's about it's from Jimmy. Jimmy's making fun of JC's picks. We'll read that one later. Tony says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Shane, did you hear that the SEC Story 30 for 30 is doing a documentary on the 1990 murders in Gainesville? Yes, I actually have to go on that next week. I don't know what they're going to have me do, but I guess they'll be interviewing me or something.
Where were you the night that, that kind of thing?
Well, it was multiple nights, JC. I will tell you this.
It was. I was there.
The only people pretty much on campus were the football team. Yeah. Everybody went home.
That's right.
And I will never forget, there were dudes in Yon Hall, which is like nobody can get in Yon Hall. It's probably the safest place. If like bombs were coming into the United States, you'll get in Yon Hall. You're safe. Okay. I mean, there were dudes walking around with golf clubs, weapons in case. And we were at practice, and you'd hear the sirens from the police officers.
That was a horrible time.
I knew people. It was bad.
I was on the night that poor Manny Twaboda and Tracy Paulus were taken by Danny Rolling over at Gatorwood Apartments. I was literally a half a mile away at the Phoenix Apartments with my girlfriend, first wife, Danielle. And we got the hell out of there after that.
Here's another tidbit, and I'm probably going to talk about this. I don't know what they're going to ask me, but we're off on all kinds of tangents today. So, you watch the news.
Yeah.
And they show like the apartment or whatever. Well, one of the apartments, the exact apartment, apartment 17, whatever it was at this place. Mm-hmm. I had been going there the semester before because that's where my calculus tutor lived.
Gatorwood. That's where it was. The last two.
I think there was 2 different apartments. But anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, it was my tutor, but it wasn't because she had graduated or whatever. So
it was a horrible time, and fear was rampant through this town. It was absolutely horrible.
Williamsburg is what Andy said. I think that's where my tutor lived.
I
It's
think
over
that,
behind like Shands.
yeah, that was Sandra Larson, and I think it was Sandra Larson. But I just remember Manuel and Tracy Paulus, the last two that he killed, and I was a half a mile away that night at the Phoenix Apartments on Archer Road.
Yeah.
That was just awful time. That you got to remember those names. I'm so glad that those names are kind of like enshrined on 34th Street there on that wall as you're driving by.
And they got the palm trees in the middle of the median.
Yeah.
All right. So Steven says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, most pros play several different sports growing up and then focus on one at college. Yeah. Yeah. Play it all while you can, then you go to college. Like when I got to college, I'm playing football, and then it was spring football was over. I had nothing to do. So I had to say it multiple times. I played on a church league softball team. I played intramural basketball, and I had my dad buy me a set of Wilson K28s at Walmart, and I learned how to play golf.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect.
All right, so JC,
Yeah.
what did I want to bring up with you? I can't remember. Oh, how are our golf picks doing for the Peachland Dental picks for the Canadian Open?
I mean, not bad. It really looked good for our picks earlier in the first round yesterday. You had Taylor Pendrith, who at one point I want to say was actually leading early, and I had Robert McIntyre and Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry was absolutely leading at one point in the tournament, but we have some newer names up here. Cristobal, this is a cool name here. Cristobal del Solar. From he is your first round leader at 9 under. Cristobal del Solar, followed by one of my favorite of all time, Thorbjorn Olesen from Denmark, and he is tied with Cristobal. And then you got Cameron Champ, you got Jake Knapp and Castillo, 9, -8, -6, Mullinax, Fox. Our best golfer right now is Shane Lowry at -5, or mine. Yours would be Taylor Pendrith, also at -5. He's teeing off at 12:44. And then Robert McIntyre, who I have, is at -4. So a lot of things can happen still today, but they're lighting up the Canadian Open. I expect a high teens, winning score of 18, 19 under, something like that. It'll calm down on the weekend, maybe, or Saturday or Sunday. But it's kind of a warm up before the Masters. QB, what was the controversy with Rory McIlroy and his driver? Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, he got ousted in was it at Muirfield? No, he didn't play Muirfield. It was the week before. No, it was the PGA because it didn't meet qualifications. Scotty's didn't either. Scotty played with another one, but nobody's mentioned it or something like that. But
failed driver, yeah. But I mean, there was no issue with what he used in the Masters, right? I mean, he was good there.
No.
Right?
Tony on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, wait, Shane took calculus? Yeah, I'm a business major for some damn reason. I don't know why. But the finance classes, the calculus and accounting and all those damn things were miserable. So JC, I was actually telling a high school coach this yesterday. I said, I graduated early. I don't know why I did the business school, because it was just miserable. I don't know how I don't know how I got through it, quite honestly. I can memorize stuff. I'd cram like the day or two before a test and somehow passed.
Tutors.
But I graduated early. So my senior year, I had to do something to have 12 credits to be eligible to play. So I did the sports administration program.
There you go.
I was like, holy crap. I should have been doing this from day one.
Yeah,
I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
But I did my 12 hours and I walked away and never finished. So
there you go. Well,
anyone saw my dad was a golfer. He played. He was terrible. Terrible.
Who was terrible?
My dad.
Oh, golf. Well, Elmer's a football coach. Come on.
Well, he's also the golf coach, but most football coaches are the golf coach because all they do is they just want to get free balls and stuff like that. All right, JC, I got to do this day in sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union, we're a proud member, Stephen Orr Spurrier Banks.
Yeah.
All right, 2011 and 2013 Major League Draft. 2013, the Astros pick Stanford pitcher Mark Appel, or Appel, Appel. You ever heard of him?
No.
Me neither. 2011, you've heard of this dude. From UCLA, the Pittsburgh Pirates select He pitches for your team now, I think.
In 2011? Jeez.
Garrett Cole.
Garrett Cole is not 13 years in the league, is he? 14 years in the league? I guess so. Yeah, guess he is. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I do know he pitched for Pittsburgh. He had a beard. He was great. And then he went to win the World Series and beat my Yankees for the Houston Astros. He was even better there.
Yeah, so he went Pirates, Astros, Yankees, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I guess that would make sense. Yeah. UCLA, huh? Okay. Well, I like UCLA, speaking of them, as a long shot in the College World Series.
Who are they playing?
20-1. If you want to remember,
Who do the Bruins play?
You got to get the odds today if you're going for better numbers, because by the time they get to the College World Series.
Who are they playing?
I will get that.
You don't even know.
They're playing San Antonio.
Oh, they're playing the Roadrunners? I'll take the Roadrunners. UCLA has the dumbest logo on their hats.
It's awful. You don't put a B up there. That'd be like the Gators wearing a G.
Yeah, so damn dumb.
It's so silly. They're just kind of strange out there in California. But UCLA laying 185 in that game. There's no money line or total up yet on the board. But I love them at 20-1 because they won't be 20-1 if they win their super regional. And I love Louisville at 25-1. And I got North Carolina. I'm going to take a plus 650. I'll take an SEC team who comes out of the super regionals as well, whoever that is. And I'll have half the field covered at plus odds. Go. So there you go. I mean, it's arbitrage, right? I mean, you got Florida and Edmonton, both plus odds. You have to bake those bets early, though. You can't do it when it's time for the event. You have to do it early. And Indiana, Oklahoma City over 5.5 games plus 110. I think you could probably still get that. I don't know if you can get it at plus 110 though.
We're gonna switch gears before we get you out of here real quick. John had this question. I just saw Baseball Live, brought to you by Mountain Law. It's actually a question about the upcoming football season, not a lot of nonsense we've been talking about today.
Well, it is June the 6th, QB. I mean, don't be too hard.
Who are your top 5 SEC quarterbacks entering the season?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, everybody's crazy right now.
I'm going to think about it on the top of my head.
Lagway.
Well, in no particular order. I'm going to go Arch, DJ, Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah.
John Mateer from Oklahoma. I'm telling y'all, dude, he's a player.
Mm-hmm. What about the kid from Georgia?
Mm-mm.
Okay. How about the kid from Ole Miss?
Austin Simmons, he hasn't played enough.
Austin Simmons lit up Georgia. I'll tell you that in one drive. Took him out.
JC, he had like 3 completions.
But QB, he had to come in and replace.
All right, so there's my 4 right now. I know I'm leaving somebody. Lenore Sellers does nothing for me. Lenore Sellers does nothing for me.
Yeah, well, Lenore's is getting a lot of play right now.
You know who it reminds me of?
Oh yeah.
He's another Anthony.
He reminds me of Anthony. Well,
he's bigger than Anthony.
What do you think of this Ty Simpson? You think he'll be the quarterback at Alabama?
That's what they say, but
who knows? I'm not ready to crown that quarterback yet. I'll tell you who I like, and you may not like him, but the guy's a winner, a flat winner, and that's Diego Pavia. I mean, he's a winner. The guy wins football games. 2 jobs of a quarterback, just 2. Get the ball in the end zone and win football games. I don't need the other stuff, in college at least. And that guy does both. He gets the ball in the end zone and he wins football games. So Diego Pavia, I mean, there's already smack talk between Ryan Williams at Alabama and Vanderbilt right now. I mean, they're making this Vanderbilt game out. Like, I looked at tickets for the Alabama Vanderbilt game because I'm thinking about going on October the 4th. Ooh. $500 for upper deck. Now, I know it's early. Those prices should come down. But let me tell you the real crime that goes on in these little college towns. You try to get a Marriott or an Embassy Suites or something.
Nashville's a big town.
Okay, but you try to get a place in Tuscaloosa or Auburn or whatever. They gouge the living daylights out of you. These idiots want $1,000 a night on Friday and Saturday night for these games. It's such a price gouge. It should be illegal, but I'm not into price controls either. So that's just the price you got to pay if you want to stay in town. I'll go to Birmingham and just let my friends take me to Tuscaloosa, and that's what'll happen. Kyle Vanderford to take me down there, and we'll just. So
you're going. I thought you just said that the Vanderbilt game was in Nashville.
No, it's in Tuscaloosa.
Why in the hell would you go to Tuscaloosa to watch Vanderbilt?
That's where I graduated. That's my.
Yeah, but pick a better game than that, JC.
Well, again, you got to pay for these things. They're not cheap in Tuscaloosa. And listen, they want Vanderbilt. This is a game they've got on their circle. They've circled it, dude. After what happened last year, you can count on it. There's 2 games they've circled. Oklahoma and Vanderbilt for good reason. They got their balls kicked in. And I think Tennessee is always going to be a big game. LSU is always going to be a big game. They beat LSU's brains out in Baton Rouge, but it's always closer in Tuscaloosa for whatever reason. So
All right,
those are good.
JC, have a good weekend. We're going to get to Rob Browne, and we're going to talk a little SEC sports. How about that?
All right.
That's JC joining us on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. We come back. We're joined by SEC Sidelines, Rob Browne. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studio. Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Coach, you know what always impressed me, how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Linderos tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Linderos tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Linderos tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Linderos.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football. Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand. We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers and go Gators.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios, Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. We're going to go back to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're going to be joined by Rob Browne from SEC Sidelines. Their group covers all the SEC teams, and he's getting cranked up. He's an Auburn grad. And the Auburn Tigers are playing in a regional today, a super regional. Good morning, Rob. How you doing, my man?
Man, great to be on here with you. Love your show and watch you on Buddy Martin's show all the time. And hell, I've been following you since you played in Florida. So honored to be on here with you, man.
Yeah. Because we're going to talk a little bit of football. Well, let's talk baseball first. You were telling us before we came on the air, this is the first time Auburn has ever hosted a super regional in the history of the school. So it's got to be crazy there today.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. And Butch Thompson was on our show yesterday, Auburn's baseball coach. And one of the things he's worked so hard to do is build facilities and make it just you're kind of landlocked there by Jordan-Hare Stadium and where you are on the corner. But they had 22,000 last weekend at those 3 games. And they're hoping to have almost 7,500, which is the largest crowd ever. They had people in the parking deck hanging out of trees. It's fun, but they're hoping to get 8,000 tonight. But it's a big deal, 100 years of playing baseball, which Thompson said yesterday. Guys, when I was there, hell, I watched Bo Jackson play baseball. I watched Frank Thomas play baseball. I watched, Greg Olson out of Omaha, Nebraska pitch. But never hosted, been in 8 supers, but never hosted one. And this is a big deal. Like Butch says, don't let the moment be bigger than it is. They better be cool. I'd like to get inside of your head as a competitor who was a starting quarterback for one of my favorite coaches of all time, Steve Spurrier. How uptight can you get? What would you do to relax?
Well, I think your coach has a lot to do with that. If he's a confident coach, it kind of feeds into your players. And we always felt like we had a good plan going into every game. Now, obviously, we lost some here and there, but I mean, I've always said this too, that if you don't have butterflies, it means you don't care, right? I don't care. Even
Right.
the Tom Brady's of the world playing in his 7th Super Bowl, he's going to be nervous because if he does, if he ain't nervous, it means he doesn't care. So it'll be good to see. We got some opportunities to get a couple SEC teams in the College World Series. I think the one series, Rob, everybody's looking at, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Two different things. Obviously, Arkansas is playing Tennessee, but
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of college baseball throughout the year, but I'll watch postseason play. I can't ever remember all the trash talking nonsense that's going on in college baseball. It's just crazy. The bat flipping, the benches clearing. What the hell's going on?
Well, I think a lot of it, Tony Vitello in Tennessee. I'm married to a Vol for life. Oldest daughter's an Alabama grad. The rest of us are Auburn. As you know, it's a melting pot. And I'm the same way as you. I would have been pulled out by my parents, not the coaches, my parents, if I did something like that. The coach would have said, hey, he needs to play. No, not with that kind of behavior. It starts at the top. And I love the competitiveness of Sonny Vitello, but no. And then, I like, Butch Johnson talks a lot about Kevin O'Sullivan. He calls him Sully. I don't know him. I think he's a great coach. I would be mad. And when you've got a microphone around you, it's tough. But then the comments in public by the Coastal Carolina coach, that is garbage. And it isn't necessary. It's not good for sports. Saying what I love at the end of the game, you get a fierce battle, Auburn, Florida football, whatever it is. At the end of the game, everybody's out there hugging and shaking hands, sportsmanship. That's what it's all about. And it's going to be what carries you through life. And that, I don't know. It's kind of this hot take, 12-second sound bite. Everybody wants to be famous. And so they're doing anything that can draw it. I don't like the fur coat at Tennessee either. Hey, you hit a home run, get excited, but don't flip your bat toward the other team. You're dealing with a lot of competitive people out there, and the situation's not going to be good.
Yeah. I'm picking Arkansas to win the national title, so I think they get through Tennessee. Want to switch gears to football a little bit, Rob. John's got a question for you on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. Rob, what are Auburn fans expecting from Jackson Arnold this year? Can he make a Bo Nix type turnaround with a change of scenery?
Well, Jackson Arnold, he's got a pretty good pedigree, but and you know this from, you work your way from down the depth chart, and for the starter for 3 years, it's the sooner or later the race goes to the one who thinks he can. And Jackson Arnold, he came in number 4 quarterback in the country, number 10 player in America out of high school, out of Denton, out in Dallas-Fort Worth, what they call the Metroplex. And he was the highest rated offensive recruit that Oklahoma's ever signed. He goes to Oklahoma, sits a year behind, Joe and Gabriel, and then it's time for him to be the man. And all 5 offensive linemen are gone. Top 6 wide receivers get hurt. And by September 21st in the Tennessee game, he's out. Michael Hawkins, legacy player, he's in. But they gave up 46 sacks last year. He's going to have one thing he's going to have at Auburn is better offensive line play. And it's been a long time because if you look at combined number of starts for offensive linemen for this Auburn team coming in this year, it's 82. Combined number of starts for the rest of the team and the other 9 position groups is a total of 88. But they brought in a couple of tackles, Xavier Chaplin from Virginia Tech out of Whale Branch, South Carolina. He's a monster at 6'7". I think he's a difference maker. And then the other one, Mason Murphy out of Southern Cal. He's a good one. I don't know if he's that good, but it's with the offensive line play and that receiver group, Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, the guy from Georgia Tech. You can't double team both of them. So I'm gonna flip it back to you. You are the quarterback. You see all these games. I think what Jackson Arnold needs is confidence and better schemes that they run in. I really want to ask your take because again, this is your wheelhouse. You've forgotten more than I know. Jackson Arnold's fast, but he's got to complete 60-65% of his passes. But I think Auburn fans want to see double digits. The last 5 years, it's terrible. It's like when Kentucky is beating Florida, that's not good. When Auburn's losing to Vanderbilt and back-to-back to, Ole Miss, which has never happened in history, but losing to Vanderbilt and Auburn, it's bad. But like a good stock, a company that's paid a dividend 200 straight years without fail, you call them fallen angels in the industry. Florida and Auburn are 2 schools that are so loaded with resources, passionate fan bases, a hell of a lot of tradition. You're not going to keep them down for an extended period. And that's why I've got both of them. I've got both schools picked to win 10, and I had Florida to win 8 last year. I look at the blue chip index. I think Florida and Auburn are 2 teams that have a lot of good things headed their way.
I love the addition of Jackson Arnold. I think he's a much better player than what people have seen at Oklahoma. I think there's 3 teams in the SEC that are if you want to call them surprise teams to look at. One is Florida. I don't know if we won 8 games, but the other one was Oklahoma with John Mateer and the offensive coordinator coming in with Venables going back to just working with the defense. They can't get any worse. But I think, as you stated, Florida's got a good wide receiver room. I love the wide receiver room at Auburn, and they could not get the ball in their hands last year. If they could play they play defense like they did last year, I think Auburn wins a bunch of football games, and I think Jackson Arnold has a great year. Let's see. We got some more questions here from some listeners for you, Rob. This one is from Andy. He says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon, do you think Arch Manning will go pro after this season, or will he stick around until he wins the Heisman?
Based on the history of the Mannings, I think he stays as long as for at least 4 years. I'll make that prediction right now. He's not going to be going for the money. Not that his fans have, given him a lot, but I think he wants to develop and take as much time as he can. I think he loves being a college student, and that's why I think he'll stay.
Brandon's question on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing for me, says QB, a sensitive question, possibly. Were you as high on Tebow as a QB as everyone else? I know he's a competitor winner, but pure QB. No, I love Tim Tebow. I think he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college football player of all time. But I knew he had no chance of playing at the next level, and that doesn't mean a damn thing. All these people that worry about their players that go professionally and don't make it. It's what did they do for your university? And he was phenomenal. Like I said, probably the best of all time. But he wasn't a great quarterback. He was just a guy that knew how to win games and found ways to win. Yeah. And it was fun to watch. Rob, I want to get your thoughts of some of the stuff that came out of Destin. Are you in favor of the 9 SEC games?
I'm in favor of 9, but also I'm against guaranteeing 4 slots. I'm with Lane Kiffin, man. Straight up seeding 1 through 16. Let the best teams, be there, because let's say the SEC, and let's be fair. I mean, obviously I'm all SEC, but you got to look at it and take the blinders off. If the SEC had a really down year, and remember back in 1996, the Big 12 was on top of the world. Oklahoma, Nebraska, Texas, Texas A&M. 9 games would be great. But see, in the case of Florida, they play Florida State every year. So you got the built-in non-conference game. Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia, Georgia Tech. But for the rest of the conference, for the most part, it means you're probably not going to see any quality non-conference games.
Mm-hmm.
And strength of schedule came out a couple of days ago. 1 through 16. Ryan Day is a great coach, but think about it, Coach Day. 15 of the top 16 strength of schedules going into this season are SEC schools. Only one of them is a Big Ten school, that's Wisconsin. And the other SEC school that wasn't in the top 16, Missouri, came in at number 20. So, I would say, 9 would be fun, but no guaranteed spots in the playoffs. I think the SEC has confidence this league will get all the spots they want.
Yeah, I haven't really paid much attention to it, but I did like, what is it, the 5-11, where the 4 conference winners get an automatic bid. You had one group of 5, so that was the 5, and then the other 11 are at large, the best teams.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one that Lane was referring to, or no?
He was talking about just straight up seeding 16, but the 5-11, that's another. That one's good. I'm just against guaranteeing spots. We got to think about, remember, Shane, when you and I were growing up, football was a regional game. Your family all went to Ole Miss growing up in Memphis. That was right in our backyard. I've been to, I think, 52 football games at Vaught Hemingway. It was a regional game. Then it became national more so in the 80s when you put all the games after 1984 on TV. I like the game being big all over the country, and the SEC, versus, well, y'all have advantages that no one else has. The cream will rise to the top. I just think competition is great, but if you start guaranteeing those playoff slots, you can create a sense of entitlement, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Text on the Titan MR text line from Larry. He says, Rob, what is the greatest Auburn, Florida football game you've ever seen?
I've been to a lot of them, and I miss that rivalry. So, God, I love that rivalry. And I remember, 1981 when Charlie Pell was there in his 3rd year, that 14-12 field goal game. Because I remember that I got to work in the press box at Auburn in high school. And after the game, Auburn's sports information director, David Housel, took me outside after the game, opened up the back of the car back then, and open bar. And I met a great reporter, Jack Harrison from the Gainesville Sun.
Yeah.
It was just stuff like that. And then I think about 1993. It was kind of misty and rainy when Auburn got that win. 94, the catch obviously is big. But then the heartbreaker, Shane, was 2002. Auburn has it looked like an easy field goal. They don't get it. They lose in overtime. And then 1986 came down there. I think it was 18-17, and karma bit Auburn. Robert McGinney out of Neptune Beach, Florida, walk-on field goal kicker at Auburn. After the 84 Iron Bowl, when he missed the field goal, he decided to head back to Florida. He comes in there and is the difference maker in that Florida win. I love that series. It's just growing up, going to the Panhandle, hanging out down there, talking SEC football, Tigers, Gators, Georgia. It's criminal. It's like saying if you were born in New Orleans, you can't go to Mardi Gras, taking that series away. It hurts.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we're the closest 2 teams to one another in the conference. The one game that stands out to me, it was right after I graduated. I don't know if it was in 93, 94, or 95. I'll never forget, I was sitting in a hotel with the Bears watching the game. It was the one where we had Michael Gilmore, and I love Michael Gilmore. He's an orthopedic surgeon in the Panhandle. He had zero business covering Frank Sanders.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that I don't know if we were number one, that they upset us in the
Y'all
swamp.
were, yeah.
That was one of the 5 losses Coach Spurrier had in 12 years in the swamp. And poor old
Yeah.
Michael Gilmore had to cover him man to man. Bad defensive call. Bad defensive call.
Yeah. So that's incredible. And my dad actually did a painting of that and put it out on Auburn Tigers, inside the Auburn Tigers magazine. And, you know, I just remember that one so well. And it was such a big deal. I mean, you know, but Steve Spurrier came to Florida, and a lot of people don't know what he did for, you know, Heisman Trophy winner at Auburn, Pat Sullivan, when Coach Sullivan, you know, I've got his jersey from when I was 7 years old that he signed. I still have the thing. And Steve Spurrier helped him get in, I think, to the Shands Hospital, the Cancer Center at the University of Florida. It basically gave Coach Pat Sullivan another 17 years. There's so many cool stories in that relationship with Auburn and Florida, but not to mention recruiting and all like that. But I'd say the greatest moment was beating that. And this is a top 5 all time, top 3 maybe Auburn victories against anybody. That's how big a deal it is beating Florida. And I hear people trying to say, is Florida a blue blood? I'm like, you're damn right they are. three national. When they got their, when you came on, someone asked Coach Spurrier, Shane, and said, you know who your starting quarterback's going to be? And he said, I don't know, but I promise you this, he'll lead the SEC in passing.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I love competition. And Coach Spurrier did so much and still does for college football. But I miss that rivalry, and it'll come back one day. Somehow it'll do.
All right, before we get you out here, last question. This is a text on the Titan MR text line from Jimmy. Jimmy wants to know, why did Baker Mazzara go into the portal?
He got a deal with Auburn, but his father is kind of like the deal with Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
And now Nico, goes from a state of Tennessee like Florida, no state income tax, to California where he's paying 13 and a quarter. Mazzara's father pushed that. He got a deal with Auburn, and then Auburn brought in some other players, and Dad thought they were getting more, and that wasn't right. And so he hit the door, and I hate it. But that's just the world we live in. I love the laundry. But also if I was 18 and someone threw that kind of money at me, you know what I'd do? I'd want someone to put it away so I didn't know I had it.
Where do you end up going?
Southern Cal.
Oh, okay. He's a California.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
Rob, good stuff as always. Cal. We appreciate your time. Let everybody know how they can listen to SEC Sidelines. Yeah,
it's at Rob Browne _ on Twitter, and SEC Sideline Sports Network on YouTube and Facebook. And we go Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 a.m. Central. And then, of course, the Buddy Martin Show. And we've got we got 8 shows on the channel, building a network with, Brendan Martin and Buddy. And, but hey, we got to get you on our show, man. Your football acumen and football knowledge is incredible. You also know your history. So, I'll come on anytime you ask me, and thank you so much.
Yeah, Rob, let me know when you need me, buddy. Have a good day. That's Rob Browne.
Okay, thank you, man.
SC Sideline Sports. Join us on the Titan MR hotline courtesy of Comfort Temp. Gallo Car Wash is locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Join our membership and see why Gators love bugs. Again, I want to thank Rob Browne and JC for joining us today on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Super Regionals start today, then the other ones start tomorrow. You got the Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. I think Game 2 of the NBA is not until Sunday night. So we'll have a lot to talk about on Monday. Again, do not worry about athletes that are going into the portal, especially for softball and baseball. We'll be fine. Trust me on that. Franklin says, Steven Shivers is the player that was arrested. He's on house arrest, but is able to attend class and practice. Okay, good stuff. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Take care.